Welcome to a new episode of Talk Too Late. My name is Game Too Late, and I am joined as usual by my two amazing guests, HeadacheMik.
Hi guys, my name is Mick, and have fun.
Oh, and the other guest.
I didn't really know.
No, that's fine. That was nice and spontaneous, and very you. And the other one is Prosil.
Hey guys, this is Prosil.
Welcome, guys. How are you guys? How are you guys keeping up with the madness out there?
Amazingly.
Cool. Prosil, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going okay. I'm 22 days home now, so it's okay.
And
I think I'm 19.
amazing.
Sorry.
I am 14, so I'm definitely the younger man here. And you
Younger.
guys are watching Talk Too Late, the show in which we talk of video games and video game stories 2 years after their release, 2 years after they have occurred, and we basically look at the calendar of releases of 2 years ago. We're gonna look in this episode at April, the first 2 weeks of April 2018. We're gonna go over the games briefly, then we're gonna talk about some industry news that came out in April 2018. And in our second segment of the show, which you're gonna find as a separate video on YouTube, we're gonna talk about our favorite video game controllers as well. So stay tuned if you are listening on this on our podcast, or keep watching if you're on YouTube, and drop likes and follow us and all that usual dance. Okay guys, let's jump right into it, right? Okay, this is looking to be like a very light couple of weeks in terms of game releases. There's not many games that have caught my attention. As usual, as we've seen in previous episode, 2018 seems to be the year of indie games arriving on Nintendo Switch. There's quite a few of those. There is like Penny Punching Princess and things like that, and there's other things that we'll see. But yeah, not many games. I'm gonna go over them, and as usual, I beg my two guests to stop me and say anything they want to say and anything they want to add. They're free to do so anytime. The first game that I knew actually was Minit. Minit is a little indie game, but it's published by Devolver Digital, famous publisher of outrageous little mini games. Minit is actually sort of a puzzle game, and I beg of you to play it, guys, at some point. I've seen this on mobile actually, and it has this very unique look, very retro, and it kind of plays to my taste with its Commodore look. You know, it's very. But
It looks amazing.
It looks really cool. It looks really cool. But that's literally the game of the month for me, or at least the game of the episode. All the rest of the games are really along these lines, and these games can be found also on mobile devices as well. It's a little adventure minigame. Yeah, okay, cool.
Exactly what I'm looking at. $5.49.
Fantastic,
Not
fantastic.
bad.
And look at this. It's been actually nominated for Best Indie Game, also Original Family Game, Game Design Award. So it got some few nominees here and there. So it's one that you may want to know about, actually. Minit. Check it out, guys, if you want to. Then around April 2018, King of Fighters. Can you believe that King of Fighters is still a thing? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, this is older than me, definitely,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I don't mean to be condescending, but King of Fighters, I've never really played much of it. But it's nice to see that it arrived again on PS4 and PS Vita. You guys remember PS Vita?
Wow.
There you go.
I
Yes, you
don't,
have
but
it.
you do.
I do remember.
I have it right there.
So PS
Nice.
Vita is good. So yeah, I mean, new games coming to PS Vita in April. Perhaps the last game that we'll ever talk about. So goodbye to PS Vita.
I became big again.
Oh yeah, in the video, that's okay. We're gonna leave it like that. We don't care. We don't care. Okay, maybe I'll try and fix
Okay.
it.
I think you do care.
Okay, bullshit. I can cut this off. We're gonna fix it in post.
Yeah, sure.
The other game that really is worth mentioning is maybe Owlboy.
Oh, I heard so many nice words about this game, and I've seen a little bit of the gameplay about it. It looks amazing, but I haven't played it yet.
Owlboy. I'm gonna
Did you?
guys play a little part of the trailer. Leave you guys to see a few images of the game. It's got this beautiful. Again, it's a sort of a small game in a way, but it's got this beautiful soft colors, very sweet colors, beautiful palette. Again, a game that seems to be rooted in retro style and seems to be coming from a different age. But yeah, it seems to be cool. I don't know what it is like. It seems to be maybe sort of a modern platformer.
Yeah, to some extent. You can fly around and you can use your friends to have them shoot while you're swinging them around. There's a little bit of platforming. It's very retro style. And it's just beautiful. Look at that, how beautiful it is.
It's very Rainman-ish.
What?
It's kind of Rainman-ish. Like
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, there's some Rainman to it. Let's watch something else. It really does remind me of, you know what? It's been a long time since I played a game like this. Really a long time. So
it's just
yeah.
I'll check how much it costs. It's on Switch, right?
It's available on a number of platforms, even macOS and Linux. Wow.
Whoa.
Incredible.
Really?
Yes.
It's expensive on Steam at least. It's really expensive. It's probably worth that much, but it's an expensive indie game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to check how much is on the PSN Store.
It's been
okay.
Imagine the game started development in 2007.
Whoa.
Can you believe working on a game for 11 years?
Is that one generation behind or two? No, it's one generation.
Yeah. But basically, yeah.
Whoa.
I mean, it's sort of an endless game if you consider the style. It can be played on any platform, on any console, and it'll be still the same kind of game performance-wise. So, doesn't surprise us.
Oh, there is a limited edition on Amazon.
Oh, really?
It's £40. Yeah.
I think this game is perfect for Switch because it looks so beautiful, and just holding in your hands this tiny heart.
Yeah.
It's breathtaking.
Yeah, it looks like the sort of simplified game that would work well on the go and that looks good on a small screen because there's not many shades. The number of colors are limited, so it's just gonna look very iconic. Really cool.
It kind of looks like Metal Slug-ish.
Yeah, I was gonna mention Metal Slug probably because of the fast animations, but just maybe the number of colors. I don't know, the palette. Who knows? But anyway, that was Hellblade, and it's a little indie jam, so to speak. And that was one of the highlights of the earlier week of April. The second week of April instead saw the arrival of Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice to Xbox One, which later then received also an Xbox One X version. Obviously, the game had already come out in 2017 on PS4 and I think on PC as well. And so this is a game that a lot of people are now looking back to because its sequel was one of the announcement of the new Xbox console. So everybody was like, oh my god, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is gonna have a sequel. The sequel is gonna come out on release date with the new Xbox console. And so everybody was blown away by the new trailer, but the previous game is just as good looking. And I'm curious about the game. I don't know if you guys know anything about it.
I've seen a picture about it, but no.
I know very little as well. I've heard that this is very, very. It has a very good reputation on the market, and everybody talked about it when it was released as a very underestimated game. But I never played it.
So one thing I know, for example, is that this lady that appears here in the game, and that is also the lady that appears in the trailer of the second game that is coming on the next console. This lady is actually this lady is actually not an actress. She was one of like the PR people of the company, And they decided,
Oh,
and they told her,
amazing.
like, you know what, you look good, you would do well in this part. And she did it, and she nailed it. And so they kept her in the game, and she's the protagonist, or one of the main characters of the game now. But she
That's
was not an
amazing.
actress, she was just, yeah.
But what kind of game is it? Like it looks like a Souls game.
Everything looks like a Souls game this day.
Nowadays,
It's
yeah,
true.
this era.
No, I've got no idea where it
It's
goes.
super cheap on Steam now, by the way. It's $10 on Steam now at this moment.
I get it.
On PS4 it's still expensive. It's still like 20, 30 pounds.
I get a strong God of War vibe from this game. I don't know.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, definitely.
Looks pretty though.
Maybe in the New Horizon Zero Dawn style.
A little bit, yeah. That's true. It's beautiful. It's very beautiful. Although there's only one tiny complaint that I have. It's done by Ninja Theory. Aren't they the guys that destroyed Dante?
Oh, I don't know, but Ninja Theory is definitely a good studio on the technical side.
It's a good studio.
What you're looking at now, if you're watching the video on YouTube and not the podcast, it's the Xbox One X version. This version is obviously the best graphics that you can get on console, and it does look really nice, I have to say.
Wait, are you saying that Xbox is better?
Absolutely, yes. In terms of
the
graphics,
X1, yeah, the X1 is better.
You said it. I haven't.
Yeah, it's happening. I've said it.
But not
said
the
it.
Xbox One, eh?
Xbox One X.
Yeah, the Xbox One X. Yeah.
I mean, it does look incredible. Let's
It looks amazing. Yeah, it looks amazing. Look at those shadings.
Yeah, let's see.
Like the actress looks very primordially beautiful. Like really looks like a.
She looks savage.
Like a person. Yeah, like a person from another era. It's interesting. The art style it's unique. Not super unique, but very unique.
Already from the video, you can see that it's much better the Xbox One X.
Yep.
No, not here, but before you could see.
Look at the light.
Yeah. Definitely. There's definitely an edge on Xbox One X.
Yep.
Yeah. Like in open spaces, it's huge.
Anyway, this is the game arriving sometime later to Xbox One in 2018. We're gonna go back to this game surely in the future, and we can probably have a quick chat one day if any of us has played it. Another title came out was Wise Origin. This is a long series of Japanese.
I think Mick is big again.
No, let's leave it. I don't care.
I cannot be seen.
Okay, nobody cares. There you go. So
that's very mean.
Wise Origin, it's a JRPG. We'll not really go much into it.
Why?
Because it's this sort of game. I'm sure that Mick, you don't like this. I completely drool over this stuff. I get strong Suikoden vibes from this. So it's one of those games that I really was always quite curious about because of its being an old school JRPG. And this came out. It's a prequel of it's a prequel of the series. That's why it's called Wise Origin, and hopefully one day I'm gonna check it out. It does look really old school, even though it's a modern game.
Yep.
Nice. Okay, cool. We're gonna pretty much leave it at that, and we're gonna go forward on our list of releases. There is Don't Starve. You guys know Don't Starve?
I do.
A little bit.
Yeah, again.
I played it at the very beginning when it was in. I think it was on alpha or beta. I think it wasn't really out yet when I played it for the first time.
What did you think? I mean, the graphic style looks really cool.
Yep, exactly, and it's a very unique and fun game. And then some years afterwards, they did Don't Starve Together, which is basically the same game with co-op, which I think adds the perfect notch to the belt. It's interesting.
Cool.
It's a beautiful game. Look at that.
Yeah, really interesting.
Look at how artsy it is.
And this is
I think I may have it.
This is yet another little indie gem that arrives to Nintendo Switch during 2018. A lot of games. Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, the Nintendo and the Switch really became a port for so many indie video games, and I think this really helped out Nintendo.
And I think it helped out
selling
the developers as well, because I'm sure that from some of these successes, the developers will actually be able to jump forward to bigger projects going forward in the future. So yeah, interesting title, and again, one that I'd like to go back to at some point. What kind of game is it anyway? Like, why do you have this?
It's basically like a survival, a sandboxy survival game. This game really came out when gamers really loved the Minecraft experience. You are on an island, you gotta punch trees, build stuff, and then build more and more and more. But this game expanded a little bit more into what happens in the darkest hours, what creeps behind, and there is a whole subplot behind it that I've never really investigated into. But it's it's a sandboxy video game with a lot of art, basically.
There's something Tim Burton-ish about it.
Yeah.
Cool. We're gonna leave it at that and move forward. Don't Starve. Interesting. It arrived on PlayStation Vita as well, guys. There you go.
Really?
PlayStation Vita.
What is that?
I don't know.
Is that a fat PSP?
Yeah, it's a fat PSP. What else? Well, a lot of JRPGs. Regalia for Nintendo Switch, As Divine Hearts, again, one of those really obscure games from Kemco. Well, whatever. Really Japanese again, arriving to Nintendo Switch. And that pretty much sums up all the main releases of the first 2 weeks of April. We can really look forward to the next episodes in 2 weeks, where we're gonna talk of games such as Wild Guns, Yakuza 6, God of War, but most importantly, Nintendo Labo. Fantastic.
It's here finally. Didn't we talk about Nintendo Labo already?
But it's never enough. It's never enough, guys. I'm just waiting for Prosil to actually get a Nintendo Labo at some point so he can tell us about it.
No way.
Are we ever getting Nintendo Labo 2?
Sure.
Is there ever a sequel about it?
I'm sure there's gonna be like improvements along the way. Anyway, let's stop our section of the games and let's go over the section of the news that I have picked up for you guys to go over, so we can just chat and review and ponder about. These are news from April 2018. So here we go. We start from the first article that I picked up that is actually inspired from our previous episode where we have talked about A Way Out. Well, in the 13th of April 2018, Kotaku reports that A Way Out sold already more in 2 weeks than EA thought it would sell in total. So do you remember last week we talked about A Way Out and the fact that the game came out, and before the game came out, the game creator went on the Game Awards. His speech was particularly, it went viral basically because the guy was fairly animated, and well, I guess that sort of visibility helped the game. And this game had something, it's a bit of a big news because the fact that it sold well or sold better than expected, because the game had this strange marketing approach where it's a co-op game and only one person needed to purchase the game, so the other person could play for free as long as one of the two had purchased the game. And I thought that was smart because it encouraged people to play it, and apparently it also sold well enough.
Yeah, I think it's a very good idea. Especially nowadays, if you think about it, the fact that you need to buy 2 adventure games to play story mode is ridiculous. Yeah. Whereas here, I think they really got a point, which is, I remember since when we were young. You remember when you were playing on PlayStation 1, a driving game in 2 people with 2 consoles, you needed 2 games, and for everything from there onwards, you needed 2 games to play in co-op mode because they were not giving you the chance to play on the same console. So I think this is a good improvement. I wish we had more in that direction.
Yeah.
Like for instance, the Switch is doing this because the controller is consoles sold with 2 controllers are very few, which I think it's a cut in cost. I think think it should be a standard to provide 2 controllers, honestly. The same way Nintendo gives you the option to at least to play minimal games on one controller because you can dismember them, but it's not happening on the other consoles.
Yeah, I mean, often people complain about the fact that couch co-op, so the fact of people playing on the same couch on the sofa next to each other, playing together physically on the same, instead of playing a football game one against the other, you're playing a game together. The fact that that doesn't happen anymore, it's probably due to the fact that there's too much risk involved financially in making a game such as A Way Out. So the fact that it's sold well, it's actually very good news. And it's strange because you would expect action arcade games to give you that sort of experience, but in reality A Way Out is very cinematographic. It's a bit like playing Until Dawn. Do you guys remember Until Dawn, the PS4 game that looks like a movie?
Yeah, I do.
It's a bit like that, but thought to be a co-op experience. So really, really nice that this has happened, and it has happened that way.
I want to be the negative person here,
Sure.
but the article says that it sold more than EA expected. EA, I think, probably expected this game to sell
Nothing.
like 10 copies because there was no microtransaction. I mean, how can people have fun if they don't spend $200? I don't get it. That's EA.
In fact,
chief.
the news.
So it's sold.
The news is rooted in the fact that EA's forecast was very humble. EA's forecast was that A Way Out would sell 2,100 copies, which is very little. 2,100. So.
Oh, it's very.
What am I? 200,000. I cannot speak to that.
It's very
bad. 200,000. So 200k. I mean that.
And how many did?
Sold almost 900 in 8 days.
Almost a million
almost
copies.
A million
That's
copies. Almost a million copies in the first 8 days, whereas they thought that it would sell a quarter of that in the whole fiscal year. So,
do we know how much the game sold in total?
No, I do not know.
That's hard to figure.
That we are trying to figure that out now, we're gonna try and look it up, because interesting. Let's see if Wikipedia reports that.
Yeah, those data are really hard to find, especially if it's bought on digital. You cannot find those data.
Indeed. Struggling video game.
The game was played by more than 2.6 million people during Q2 on 2018, but it says played. So is that half by?
It's even more difficult to establish for a game that is co-op. Doesn't mean it's being played by couples.
Yep.
Anyway, A Way Out, it shipped 2 million copies. So. It might have been north of that. I don't know how much that will be. Let's see if I look.
It sold well, that's for sure.
Okay, this is in total only the PS4 version. Let's see the Xbox One version. Well, this website is not really. Okay, there is an article about it. A Way Out tops 2 million units sold. That was in September, so 6 months later it managed to double the initial sales and reach 2 million copies, which is, ironically, 10 times what EA had forecasted. So that's cool. Cool, it's good.
They really don't understand about games.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah. They're completely out of the picture.
Completely out of it. But frankly, this is a bit of a risky project, so I can expect that they were a bit cautious, but okay. Whatever. Moving forward.
Already a lot that they published it.
Yeah, it's already enough that they took that chances like that. One other big article of that of April 2018 was the leak of Spyro Remake Trilogy or Spyro Trilogy Remake. Basically, the reason why this is interesting is that this leak has occurred because of the game being listed on Amazon. And at some point, what they had to do, in the same day that the news broke online, Activision had to formally announce it, that only in September, it would have been then. It would have come out. But looking at, I'm not a big fan of Spyro. I frankly don't care, but some people care, and
Yeah, same.
this was an announcement that probably they had big plans for, and it was just spoiled by the fact that it was listed on Amazon. But that's life.
I mean, I don't think that was an accident, honestly. Like, we talked about this
I
kind of
think it is.
oopsie
I think
in
it
this
is.
podcast.
In
It is,
this case,
right?
absolutely,
Okay.
because when you don't announce a game by leaking it, by listing it on Amazon. I'm sure that even if you want to leak it to get some traction on the press, you would leak it in a different way. Maybe you would tease it a little more. Instead, they kind of messed up.
You say so.
Yeah, because
I remember.
I don't know, how can you mess up?
because when you leak something, you usually give the benefit of the doubt for a while, and at least that's what people would expect. If you are manufacturing the lie of a leak, you will probably not make it obvious. Whereas in this case, it was obvious. There was like picture of the game, the box art, everything on Amazon. It was like, damn, this is basically official. And that's why Activision, after a few hours, had to announce it like that. But I am pretty sure that they had proper marketing plans for an announcement. Who knows, maybe a few months later at E3 or something like that. It's a Sony title.
The game I think this game, like, because I played all three of them back in 90, I think it was 98. They were trying to fight what Nintendo did with Mario 64, but the game cannot be comparable, not even by far. So
yeah, when I was a kid, what really bothered me is like, this is silly, but I was a kid. I'm a little Drake and I cannot fly except on some cutscenes. This really, I don't know why, this really bothered me a lot.
Yeah,
And I don't think I like it now because of that.
It's I think there are a lot of platforms.
You could glide.
Yeah.
Even Red Seal could. Red Seal had a, there was a reason he lost his wings. You're a Drake, just fly. Shut up.
But
that really.
But because it's a kid, it's not a full-grown dragon yet.
Yeah, but then on cutscenes he could fly for reals. Like they're loading cutscenes, he could actually fly. So like, am I a joke to you, Spyro?
Then we're gonna just blame it to the limitation of the hardware.
Yes, I'm sure. Of course.
If you think the way this game was running on PS1, and the way there were a lot of collectibles, diamonds and stuff, I think the game was giving you huge areas where you could play around, much more than Crash Bandicoot. I remember 3 games released, all of them together. One was this, then was Croc. I don't know if you remember Croc. I expect the remaster at some point. And the other platform game was Gecko. Gecko was, they never did sequel. I think amongst all 3 of them, Dexter Enter the Gecko, I think, was the best platform you could find on PS1. I wish they would make it a remaster of that. I don't know if you remember Jax Enter the Gecko, but they did 2 games, one in 2D.
I do remember vaguely.
The one in 3D was like a huge open world game, and I really loved it. I remember that. I remember Maximo, but I think Maximo was already PS2.
Maybe, yes. Anyway.
Looks like a lizard.
Anyway, guys, moving forward from this strange leak story, we're gonna have a look at another article from Eurogamer. In 15 April 2018, Eurogamer tried to make the sort of estimate, a sort of shot in the dark of what the console could have been. And it's been really interesting now to look back at their prediction and how accurate they were. And I was going through the article, and I have to say they were really quite close. They talk about 16 GB of RAM, they talk about Zen 2 processor, and if you look at the actual hardware of the PlayStation 5 announced, they had it right on the 16 GB RAM, they had it right on the 8-core AMD Zen 2 processor. So really a particular article to go and check out. They were also right on the 7 nanometer technology for production. What is this noise? Oh, it's Prosil just typing. Okay.
True. So this means that the hardware of the PS5 is 2+ years old.
It is possible that
Wow.
Now, I would say that, it could be predicted 2 years ago. I think that some of the advances that we see in consoles are really obvious after all.
Oh yeah, of course. All I'm saying is PC Master Race, and that's it.
We'll see. No, but yeah, I mean, it's an interesting article. That's all there is.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of new hardware, yes, here are the PlayStation 5 specifics and how they compare against the PlayStation 4. This is quite interesting. It's interesting also that in this next generation, there's going to be the double of the RAM, and in the past it would be a lot more than the double. It would like, for example, for PS2 to PS4, we went from something for like 2 GB to 16. No, sorry, to 8. So more than double. And from PS2 to PS3, we went from something like 32 megabytes to something like 1 gigabyte or whatever it was. I don't remember. But many times an order of magnitude. And this time around, instead, we're only doubling the RAM, which means that.
Yeah, but we're also changing the type of RAM. It's DDR5
it's
versus
RAM,
6. So
yes.
It's a big leap. It's a big leap, yeah.
RAM. Anyway, interesting to see what the future holds, but let's moving forward again with another article from 2 years ago. Steam breaks 60 million active user. I put this up because recently Steam broke 22 million active users, so that's interesting how that changes. Anyway, another actually good article is from games industry. It's about ageism. This is something that I'll let you guys read in your own time. It's basically an article that talks about the issue of aging in the games industry. This is an industry that in some way doesn't leave a lot of open position for mature workers. There are a lot of young people going into the industry, getting burned and then leaving after some time. I am one of them. If I could, I guess I could say the same of Prosil. He also worked in the industry, and then he moved on to other bigger and better things, I guess. But yeah, this is an interesting article that looks at the demographics of employment and the sort of dynamics that would happen when you're trying to hire people of a certain age, how you put them in a group of much younger people, etc., etc. It's the sort of problems that do not get a lot of press coverage, but it's really interesting stuff, and I suggest you guys go back to this article from 2 years ago and check it out. Data and stats. Fortnite has more monthly active users than GTA Online. Who would have ever thought?
Wow.
So
now it's so clear.
It's incredible.
Well.
Like,
I think they gave the game for free, so and it's a multi-platform game, cross-platform that GTA cannot.
Yeah.
If GTA was for free, and I think everybody would be playing that. Probably also us. I think it's totally normal. It's the same way when Fortnite won the Games Award, I think last year, or 2018.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's normal, but 2 years ago this was big. Yeah. This started to crumble the industry a little bit.
Yeah. It's the gaming industry is changing, and we expect more free-to-play, and that's coming, and there will be two generations of gamers, the free-to-play gamers and gamers.
Interesting article, interesting take, sorry, and yes, perhaps you're right in that I created a whole different audience, or drawn in a different audience, and that's why it allowed it to have that many users.
Also because, face it, imagine when we were kids, we basically were maybe buying a game a year or two games a year. What if they were giving you a free game to play where maybe sometimes you need to put £5 on it? and then you
Yep.
would ask £5 to your parents, and then £5
Yeah.
here and there. I think the idea is brilliant.
And then every couple of weeks the game changes, adds new stuff.
Yeah.
It changes some stuff there.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
And
it's a dream.
yeah, I mean, for me it's not, because I look at the game and for me it's crap. But I also have to admit that I never went into the game. I never played it. I never tried it. And probably we should, because it's something that should be tried. I don't know.
You're right. I should
But I mean,
give it a go.
imagine
I don't
if you
wanna
were
be
young.
purist.
No, but imagine if you were young, you would have definitely played the game. Being as competitive as you are,
Yeah,
you would have played so many hours of this game. But we're
Jesus.
too old to really enjoy it.
Probably I would be rich.
Probably, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna close this segment of the show by mentioning sort of just a very brief statement from Yoko Taro, director and one of the lead designers at Platinum Games. He said, "We don't need to think globally to sell globally." And I thought I would report these words because, the Japanese market, you look at 5, 6, 8 years ago, everybody, like the Japanese market and the Japanese games were sort of losing completely to Western games, and they were struggling to become more appreciated abroad. And instead, this has sort of changed in recent time with all the Dark Souls games, with the new Final Fantasy waves, with the new with games such as the games from Platinum Games that are now very, very much appreciated, even though they didn't really they accepted very little compromises. And that's I think recapped very well in this little words. We don't need to think globally to sell globally. It's amazing how even games like Monster Hunter,
Yep.
such a very Japanese, such a niche thing,
Really.
have managed to actually survive on a global landscape. And yeah, here I report. This is Yoko Taro, by the way. This is a very particular guy.
Yeah, I know.
He doesn't ever show his face. He's always wearing this mask. So
Never? Nobody
I
has
don't
ever
know.
seen him?
I don't know, but I like to think that nobody knows his real identity. A bit like Batman.
I like too. Like a superhero video game industry.
I think it might be just that. I think it might be just that. And that concludes our segment of the show that regards games. We're gonna move on to our second section of the show, where we talk about our favorite controller, the way they look, the way they play, the way they feel in your hands. Sorry for the strange mental picture, but yeah, let's just move on and talk about controllers, guys. And I'm gonna let you guys talk and go free with this incredible, amazing topic. There's so much I want to say, especially about my favorite form of controller, which is joystick. Okay, let me stop here and let's move on to the second segment.